everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Allie and this week I'm going to be working on starting up my small crafting business. So what this means is that this week I'm going to be designing some new products and then also going back and uplifting some of the products that I previously made. Any new products I design I will then test out and make one prototype and then hopefully take some product photos of it and then also upload it to my shop. My overall goal for this week is to have some new products with their photos taken that can be uploaded to my shop, along with also having those photos so that I can submit them to different applications. Like some of those applications might be for a locally handmade store or some markets that are nearby. I decided to call this video starting up my small business just because I have only been doing this for about 2 months now. I do currently have some products on my shop, but by the end of this week I'm hoping to add some more products on there along with revamping some of my old products that have been up there for the last 2 months. So let me just take you through and show you all the products that I currently have up there. So I'm going to be looking at my iPad right now, but currently I have this little tiny loaf cat that I also have right here. This little loaf cat. I also have this tiny little ducky that I'll get in focus for you right here. This frog. This tiny little basket of kittens that you can't see very well. Oh, there you go, it's kind of in focus right there. So super cute. I also have some crochet tie-back headbands available in white, purple, and turquoise. I no longer have the blue color available anymore. I've been working on making these tiny cross-stitch characters. This little mother goose pattern is free on my shop, and then also the pattern for this little tiny happy frog. I currently have a video up on my channel that is a tutorial video for how to do this mother goose pattern. So you can download the free PDF pattern and then also follow the video so that you could create your own. And I'm also hoping to make a tutorial video for the frog and the bunny as well, but I just haven't gotten around to that yet. The last product that I have on my shop is actually my bestseller, and it is my 25 First Stitches embroidery kit and the pattern that goes with it. So both of those are currently my best sellers. The amount that's sold is not very many because I have just started out, but I've sold 6 of the digital patterns and 2 of the kits, which I think is pretty good given that the only way that people can purchase my products is if they find me through social media, and I'm still a very small creator. Right now my follower group, I think I only have about 100 followers on TikTok. I have around 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so most of my sales have come from YouTube, and I believe that that would put me in the category of being a pretty small creator, so to have any purchases is really quite flattering. But back to the video topic. Currently the 25 First Stitches kit and pattern are my best sellers, and along with those 2 purchases you also have a tutorial video. So I currently have that tutorial video uploaded on my channel, but it's a little bit old. Even though all the information is technically correct, I think that it could use some revamping, so I am refilming that tutorial video. That's what I'm currently working on right now. So here's what the kit looks like. I'm currently about halfway through working on the design, and so I need to continue filming for the tutorial video so that I can edit it and upload it to my channel. And I really think that the pattern is my best seller just because I put a lot of thought and time into the design and the colors and made sure to promote it through short form content, so on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. And one of the videos that showed me completing this kit has a decent amount of views. It has like 40,000 views or something like that, and I think that most of my purchases came from that video. So with all that said, I'm going to move on and start filming another portion of the tutorial video. The stitch that I'm going to be doing today is the woven wheel. I think that the woven wheel is quite cute and really simple to do, especially if you like to do floral embroidery. The end result ends up looking a lot like a rose, and then afterwards I'm going to move on to something else. So just as I was trying to transition into filming the woven wheel, Kat decided that it was time to have a hairball, and so now I have some cat throw up that I need to clean up instead. Sometimes you really just want to film something really beautiful and delicate like embroidery, but instead life throws you cat puke instead. I just finished up stitching the woven wheels for the embroidery sampler, so now I have the footage for the tutorial video that I'm going to make, and I also was able to film some short form content for this as well. Next thing that I have to do is clean up the big mess that I made. I have thread all over the place now so that I can then move on to doing the next task that I have. Let's embroider some woven wheels together. First, you start by making 5 stitches in a star shape, and then weave your thread around those stitches to get a cute rose at the end. The kit and pattern are available if you'd like to learn. The next thing that I have on the agenda is to post a short form video. So I already filmed the video for that. It's me completing the Lazy Daisy stitches on the embroidery sampler. So now I just want to record the audio that I'm going to be putting over that video. But first I'm going to write a quick script for me to read off of, and then I'm going to actually record myself in the closet just because it's carpeted and there's clothes surrounding me. So I think that's the quietest room of the house and best for recording. So I'll see you in the closet. So I'm still getting used to hearing my voice over and over again, especially when I edit. So recording in the closet is one of the worst parts for me, but I'm trying to get better at it. So I just finished up doing the audio. It only took me about 1.5 minutes, which is pretty impressive for me because when I first started, it would take me about 10 minutes to record just a 30-second reel. Matilda is my cat, and she is currently in my lab begging for her wet food right now. It is getting to be a little bit dark out, and she gets fed at around 8 p.m. usually, but she's a little bit early. It's only 7:30 right now. And in the back I have my giant hedgehog. Her name is Gila, if anyone wanted to know her name. But yeah, I've moved to the couch because I'm going to be doing my editing here. I won't be able to film that because I do my editing on CapCut, which is on my phone, and I'm currently recording this on my phone. But you can take my word for it that I'm going to be editing the video that I just recorded the audio for. Okay, so it's the next day and I just got home from work, and while I was at work something really exciting happened. Somebody ordered a kit off of my shop. So this will be the 3rd kit that someone has ordered from my shop, which is really exciting and definitely not something that I expected today. And I would just like to thank Taya, or maybe you pronounce it as Taya. I don't know how exactly to pronounce it. I'm sorry. It really means a lot. So you guys watched me edit a short form content video yesterday, and then I posted that to my YouTube and my TikTok, and I'm assuming that this person found me from one of those videos since the video was promoting this kit. So I'm really happy that that video ended up working and that I get to see a result literally the next day. So I wasn't planning on packing any orders today because I never really plan on packing any orders, but we can pack that order up together and then I will move on and continue with what I had actually planned for today. So I'm in the middle right now of trying to print the design on the fabric, and nothing was going through my printer, and I was wondering why, but come look at what is stuck inside the printer. Look at that, a packing peanut.
Hanging around after last orders, we're still so far from home. It's like we're burning into embers. As the fire burns the whole world, as the days keep rolling on, we're living in hell again.
So I just finished up packing the order, and even though there's a small problem with the printer, it all worked out, and so here it is. So now that I have that all packaged up, I can move on to what I actually had planned for today. So these products are going to be new products that I've never made before. I need to do a little bit of designing to figure out how I want to do them. But basically what I'm trying to do is make some small trinket dishes made out of air dry clay and polymer clay. And these are mainly going to be for my application into a locally handmade store. So my goal is to create 4 small trinket dishes to submit in my application, just to show 4 different ones that I can do. The locally handmade store is based out of New Hampshire, and they usually prefer to have things that are a little bit more woodsy or foresty. So I'm going to tailor the trinket dishes to that aesthetic. So a few days ago, I sculpted the trays out of air dry clay, and they look like this. I hope that you can see this. So I have 4 of those, and I'm going to be sanding them and then sculpting out of polymer clay little tiny animals and trees and things like that to go on top of them. The design that I'm going for today, I'm hoping to have a little bear in the woods, and it'll be next to a little river, and I'm hoping that the land is a little bit higher up than the river, so the river kind of acts as like a little place where you can catch items like rings or keys or something like that. I already have the bear sculpted. He's pretty tiny, so I'm hoping that he'll go on the corner of the trinket dish and kind of be looking and observing all the items that you put on the dish. But yeah, now we can get to sanding it down to give the trays a little more finished look, and then maybe I will sculpt and maybe if I get to it paint, but I doubt it.
Ow! 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 Yay!
So I'm probably just going to start with the 2, and I'm going to keep my expectations incredibly low and just tell myself that these 2 are practice ones for the real thing, because I foresee that there will be other issues that I run into as I try to make these 2 trinket dishes. The theme for one of them, I'm going to try and do the bear on the river, and then the other one I'm not sure if I want to do like a fairy tale, fairy garden type of thing, or if I would rather do something more like a picnic scene. So we'll see what I end up doing. In the end, I'm hoping to do all 3 of those, but for my first 2 practice ones, I'm probably just going to start with the bear on the water. Hi guys, I'm literally in my pajamas. Right now I'm in my Star Wars shirt, about to go to bed, about to get ready for bed, when I just checked my shop and I saw that I actually got another 2 orders today. I just think it's crazy that I have like live reactions to this. I didn't expect this video to be at all about getting orders or anything like that. People that ordered, their names were Courtney and Michael, and really thank you so much, you guys. You have no idea how much it really means to me. Just as I'm starting to get this all started up and trying to apply to shops and markets, I mean, it really is very encouraging. So you have no idea what it means to me right now. But yeah, also today I'm kind of on a roll because I also finished up painting this little trinket dish right here. Once I've glazed it, then I'll be able to post it on my shop for anyone in the United States to purchase. I do think it actually turned out pretty cute. Foresty things aren't usually what I'm inclined to make, but for these applications, I think it was really good for me to have a theme and a goal and really some guidelines when I was making it. That way I kind of knew what I should be aiming towards. I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully we will be glazing. That's what I'm going to bed with, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, and we'll see if I actually follow through with that idea at all. Just got home from work. It's about 5 p.m. now, but I know that I said that I was going to do the UV resin last night, but I've already changed my mind. I decided that I would rather do something a little bit more fun, like sculpting again, and then this way I could add the resin onto both of them at the same time. And I'm also hoping to be able to pack the orders that I got last night that I'm really excited about and do that today as well. But it is currently 5 p.m. and I only really have like an hour and a half until I'm going to meet up with my family for dinner. Today I think I'm going to try and do the fairy garden or the fairy tree house. I haven't really thought of the design for this yet, so I'm really just gonna test out what looks nice, and if it ends up being really ugly, that's totally fine. I'm gonna have to redo these anyways because of the ones that crack. The next time that I make these, I'll probably make another 2 or 3, and I probably won't be able to finish them this week, now looking that it's Wednesday, and I thought maybe I could get these done by like Friday, Saturday, but that just doesn't look like it's gonna be possible. So yeah, I'm gonna start sculpting the fairy tree house. At this point, I really had no idea what I was doing. I had made a brown blob in hopes that I would be able to turn it into a house. I then added some dark green lines to the roof so that it looked like a leaf was laying on top. I also added a red door, even though I typically stay away from red, but I felt like it really needed a pop of color. In the end, I added on some windows with the flowers crawling up the side, and then on the back I added a flower window, and what I envision is that there's a little tiny fairy that's looking out from her telescope and using this as an observatory. Later that night, I came back and put on my pajamas and continued painting. Clearly, I needed a lot of focus in order to do this. I then placed all the items that I sculpted onto the dish. Sometimes I'll use a small amount of hot glue to stick them on there. It's not the most durable, but it was good enough to have it stay until I added the resin. When I use the resin, I have to be incredibly careful because the fumes are toxic. I always wear gloves and wear a respirator. After putting the trinket dishes under the UV light, they hardened and looked super cute and are way more sturdy. So last night I finished up painting the 2 trinket dishes that I was working on and also added on the resin. And I spent this morning doing some touch-ups to both of them so I can show you how they ended up turning out. Here is the fairy house. It has a little house, some bushes, some stones, little water fountain, and then I painted on these little tiny flowers here. So this one I think turned out pretty cute, and I think it turned out okay for one of my first attempts at making a trinket dish. This is the little bear looking over the river. I think this one turned out even cuter just because I'm more so drawn to these little characters. It's what I prefer to sculpt. So even though both these turned out really cute and there's nothing wrong with them, I think that they're fine for selling, but I do find myself to be a little bit frustrated with them just because now that I've done it once, I learned a lot of things that I would want to implement the next time I do them. So I just know that if I tried it again, it would be even better. I don't think it's awful, but I do think that it could be better, it could be smoother. So yeah, I'm not disappointed with them, but I am a little frustrated with the overall process, and I'm also a little frustrated because it's another gloomy day. It's been raining for like 3 days straight, and so I haven't been able to take any product photos because there's no natural sunlight. But instead today I do need to go to the post office to mail out my orders, and then also I do want to stop at Michael's to grab the super glue for the next time that I try to make a trinket dish. But before I head out though, I'm going to paint my nails just because I like to have my nails painted, and also when I film my hands I like to have them painted as well, just so that people are more so looking at what I'm doing rather than the dirt underneath my fingernails. So I just made it to the post office and I'm about to deliver the packages, and even though it's still kind of cloudy out, the sun has finally decided to come out right when I decided to leave. So I'm hoping that by the time I get back, the sun is still out for me to be able to take some product photos. But yesterday, while I was making the 2 kits that needed to be shipped, I also decided to just go all out and cut all of my fabric that I had. I did like a rough cut so that I did like 8 by 8 inch squares so that in case I ever got any more orders, I would already have the fabric cut out. I think I cut up in total around 30 squares, so that's a lot of squares, and I'm not expecting to sell that many anytime soon, but now I know I have a huge stock. So I just left Michael's and I got this little Scotch glue pen. I might have gotten upcharged just because it comes in some cool packaging and also is like dual-sided, but I'm excited to use it. And I also forgot to mention that another reason why I want it is not just to adhere some polymer things to the trinket dishes. I also want to try and make some polymer clay magnets and charms. So I'm hoping that the glue will help me adhere the metal to the charm. So I had to change into another shirt because of how hot it got outside, and now I'm all ready to start sculpting. I'm going to start with trying to make some tiny little charms, and that way I can test out the new super glue that I bought. I have a list of ideas that I want to sculpt for charms and magnets that I want to end up submitting for my application. One of the ideas that I have is having a mushroom charm with a tiny little frog on it. Another idea that I have is something that's like this little duck but with a flower on the top of its head. So I'm going to try and make 2 of the mushrooms with the frogs on top and 2 of the ducks with like a little pink flower on it. So we'll see how that goes.
You don't have?
Or you don't have.
Just say a planet. Angela, it's your turn. Let him.
So I just finished baking my polymer charms and a disaster has struck. It's actually not really a disaster at all, but you know, it's kind of sad. The eyes and nose fell off of one of my little duckies. I think I can fix it though. I still have the pieces on the tray, and maybe I'll use the new super glue or maybe some UV resin to try and get it back on. If I use the UV resin, then the entire thing will need to have resin on it, but if the super glue doesn't work, that's probably what I'm gonna try and do. However, one of them did survive. It looks like this. So I'm going to try and use that new super glue to attach the metal piece and see if that works. I've again never done this before, so we'll see how it works out. And then also the little mushroom frog guy is fine as well. Although he's a little bit squished, but I'm kind of considering this to be my trial charms. Maybe they'll be good for a photo, but maybe not for selling. But yeah, let's try and attach the hardware now. So before baking, I made a small hole in the heads of the little charms. This way I could put a tiny bit of super glue on the metal and then insert it into their head after they've been baked. I then used the super glue to pick up the little eye that had fallen off and then spit it back out onto the duck, which I thought was really helpful. I did the same for the beak, and then after a little bit of adjusting, she was all better. I finished up with all the metal pieces and then called it a day for the charms. So it is now Friday, and in my mind I had set a deadline that I was going to have everything done and ready for the applications by today, but I'm realizing that that is just impossible. But I thought I'd give a quick recap of where all the different projects that I'm working on are right now, and also I forgot to film a lot yesterday, so I did make a lot of progress off camera. So the first project that I worked on this week was my embroidery sampler. And since Monday, I did not make any progress on this product. I usually put this design on the back burner just because I've already done it, so I know that I can do it and it's not as challenging for me anymore. Don't get me wrong, I still really love doing it. It's great for me to not have to think, but when I have the applications in my mind, I really want to try and do the items that I am less sure about, like the polymer clay first, just because I want to make sure that I can do that and I can do it consistently before I start applying to anything. So yeah, I really do love doing embroidery, and it's probably what I'm best at out of all the different categories, but I don't want to limit myself to just embroidery, and this item I just feel like I can put on the back burner and finish up whenever I can. That might not be the best mentality, but that's how I've been looking at it. The next two products are something that I'm really proud of because it's something that I had never done before, and that is creating polymer clay trinket dishes. I made this little bear, which I think is my favorite thing that I made this week. I'm really not a strong painter, so the fact that this turned out at all okay, I think is a pretty good sign. I also learned a lot while I used the UV resin. I've used it before, but I never really got the nice shiny look that I wanted, so this took multiple rounds of me learning. The other trinket dish that I made is this little fairy garden here. This has a lot more detail, and I'm pretty impressed with the fountain that I made here. This is probably up there, some of one of my favorite items that I made this week. The other items that I want to make for my shop are little tiny polymer clay charms and magnets, mostly because I fear that the trinket dishes might be out of budget for some people. I think that these are more accessible and a cheaper alternative compared to the trinket dishes, just because they take me a lot less time and are a little bit smaller. So I think I showed you guys that I made these little tiny duckies. One of them I had to do some surgery on because it lost its eye and beak. And then another thing that I did off camera was I had started making this little mushroom with the frog on top as a charm, but I didn't really like how it was turning out. So off camera, I decided to give it another shot, and it ended up looking more like this the second time. Sorry, my nail polish is really chipped, but I've been working with my hands a lot. And I really like how the second product turned out. I think it's much better than my first one, and I managed to make two. So I think the frog is a lot better, and I love the little smile and its little belly, and also the mushroom's just a little bit bigger as well. Another thing that I made while off camera was that I cut out these tiny little pieces of polymer clay that are in shapes of like an oval and a rectangle. And I plan on painting those and then adding on a magnet on the back. I'm really not the best painter, so I'm hoping to do that today, and it might go horribly wrong. If it ends up being a total failure, I probably just won't have painted magnets in my shop, and instead I will decide to sculpt something else to make as a magnet instead. But either way, there will be magnets, again, as a more affordable option of the polymer clay items. The last few products I really haven't filmed, and that's because I typically crochet while I'm watching TV at night, and that would be really boring to film. But I've been working on making a crochet bag out of these little heart granny squares here. And so I've now completed all of the different granny squares, and now I just need to sew them together, and then maybe I'll add a crochet border to them. So that project is almost done, and now I just need to move on to the annoying part. I'm not sure if I'll get to that today because I really just want to focus on what I'm unfamiliar with, which is the painting and the polymer clay, to really see if I can end up making those a part of my shop. So let's get started. Okay, so last time that you saw me was actually about 2 weeks ago. I stopped filming for a few different reasons. I could just say that I was a little bit busy the last 2 weeks, which is true. My work started to pick up a lot, and then I also was scheduled to see a bunch of my old college friends, and then I even went on a weekend getaway trip with them. So it was a busy 2 weeks, but also I was starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed and starting to doubt myself once I had a few failed attempts at making magnets, which sounds silly to say, but all of a sudden when you're trying to apply to some place and the item that you want to apply with isn't working out and you don't feel confident that it's going to work out, all of a sudden you just feel a little bit overwhelmed. But I think I came up with a solution to that, and I'm ready to film again, and a lot has actually happened in the past 2 weeks. I did end up finishing the application and I sent it in and I was accepted. Honestly, I was ready to completely scrap this video idea and wanted to say maybe I could try again another time, but I decided instead that I was going to finish the video because this is actually how it really panned out. So I ended up only applying to one locally handmade store and a few different craft fairs, and so far I've gotten into one store and then 3 different craft fairs, although I'm not sure if I'm going to do the craft fairs yet, just because already I'm starting to feel like it's a lot going on just to prepare to be in the store. But my application to the store required that I submit 4 photos, each photo having a description of what the product is. And so for my first photo, I submitted the 25 First Stitches kit. I used a picture of a kit that I had already finished because I did not finish the video tutorial yet. But now that I'm in the store, I have approximately a month to get it completed, so I hopefully will at least meet that deadline. The next photo that I submitted was of my 2 trinket dishes. I did not end up making a third one at all, but I am currently trying to make more so that I can at least have some on the day where I go in to set up. The next photo that I sent in was of some magnets and also some charms and some figurines. So I was pretty disappointed with my attempt at making the painted magnets. I'm really not that strong of a painter, and so I'm going to need to practice that before I attempt to sell anything that's hand painted by me. But I do have 2 failures, and these are the best 2 failures that I had. There were worse ones for sure, but I am willing to show you the best 2 failures. So here is the first one. It could be worse. I know that it could be worse because I made a bunch that are worse, but it definitely could be better. So I'm probably not even going to turn this into a magnet, but I thought I would keep it just to remind myself of where exactly I started. This one's even a little bit worse. This one is of a rose. The worst ones will never see the light of day. So what I submitted instead of the hand-painted magnets were the oil pastel bakery bread magnets, and I'll try to show you what they look like. Don't want to focus. So they don't want to focus, but you can see in the picture, and I can show you other pictures of what they look like. I call these magnets because even though the clay portion is done, I haven't attached the hardware yet, and I also haven't sealed the oil pastel yet. So currently, if you were to touch them, you might get a little bit of the residue on your hands. So I still need to seal them, and then I need to attach the metal to it. So that was the magnet portion, and then I also submitted some charms. So I made this little charm, again with the gold and the silver attachment, depending on if your chain is gold or silver. And then also some little duckies with a tiny little pink flower on its head. I think that's really cute as well. And then I also made some pink frog charms. I also submitted some of the original figurines that I had already made just because I know that I can make those pretty consistently as well. And then the last item that I submitted was a crocheted bag that I can go and find. So this is the crochet bag that I also submitted. I think that this is a good option to have just because I can reliably make this as well. And I also wanted to let them know that it's possible in the future that I'll be making things like some crochet plushies or some crochet headbands to bring in the store as well. I'm not entirely proud of the photos that I submitted, but I'm glad that I submitted them anyways. I was just about to leave for the weekend, so I just spontaneously took photos of everything and submitted it, and then just hoped over the weekend that they would get back to me. On Monday, they did get back to me and they did accept me, and they said that I could bring any of the items in any of the categories that I submitted, which is really nice for me because I want to be able to test out different items to see what really resonates with people there. My startup date is August 28th, so I have about a month to prepare, and it's located at the Pheasant Lane Mall in Nashua, New Hampshire, which is a little bit far from me, but that's okay. I don't mind the drive. So that basically means I have a month to completely prepare all of my inventory, and currently I do not have enough inventory at all, and also to figure out my packaging that I want as well. I would like my embroidery kits to have some consistent packaging, and then also the magnet sets and the little tiny clay charms to also have consistent packaging. The crochet items and the trinket dishes, I don't think that those need to be packaged up as much, but the other items do. So the amount of space that I get in the store for $50 a month is an end cap, and an end cap is the end of a shelving unit. Do I think I'll make back my $50 a month? I'm really not sure. I've never tried to sell anything at a market, and I have really only just started out, so it could very well be that I just pay $50 a month and then I make no money at all. But I figure I'm willing to take that risk in order to get my foot in the door, to meet other artists. I'm also excited that I'll be there for September, October, and November, just because that's the holiday season and where I think people will be more likely to go to a locally handmade store and to potentially buy a kit or buy a little trinket for a loved one. So yeah, I'm taking a chance on myself with this. Thank you for watching this video if you made it this far. I really, really appreciate it.